Sometimes this computer just does what it wants to do. Hmm. Okay, so I don't see recording yet. There you go. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, meaning peace be unto you. Welcome to Tuesday morning programming right here on American Muslim 360. My name is William Kareem, and the name of the program is Stories of the Lives of the Prophets. For the past few weeks, we've been talking about the prophet known in the Quran as Yusuf. And in other scriptures, he's also known as Joseph. So we will use the names. Sometimes we may say Yusuf, and sometimes we may say Joseph. But we're talking about the same person, um, the same revelation, the same person. We're reading from a book by Ibn Kathir. Ibn Kathir was a Muslim scholar, Islamic scholar, who lived in the 13th century, and he notated the lives of the prophets, starting with Adam as the prophet number one, and he moved forward, and he uh, talked about many of the other prophets that were available. Now, prophet number two would be Idris or Enoch. Prophet number three would be Noah. I mean, these are prophets that are very well known in Muslim history, in Hebrew history, and in Christian history. These are very well known prophets, but there may be some prophets that are not known in um, Hebrew or Christian history that the Muslims recognize, like Hud or Sali. Hud and Sali, may not be recognized by um, Christian history or Hebrew history, but they are recognized in Muslim history. So Ibn Kathir, he wrote about them. So Prophet Yusuf is the 12th prophet, prophet number 12. Altogether, there are 25 prophets that Ibn Kathir wrote about. Uh, it is said that there were more prophets, but these are prophets and messengers, that there were many other messengers came to mankind. There's a lot of information on social media that you will hear that will dispute even that there were 25 prophets, main prophets, that will dispute that. Some will say there was 125,000 prophets. It's like, okay, no. But in the book, Stories of the Lives of the Prophets, it only talks about 25. And so right now, we have done from Adam, we did Adam, Idris, Noah, Hud, Salih, Ibrahim, Ishmael, uh, Isaac, Yaqub, Lot, Shuaib, and now we're doing Yusuf. So we're up on to 12 prophets so far. And if you'd like to hear about those other prophets that we've done beforehand, please feel free to go to youtube.com and search Stories of the Lives of the Prophets, and you can follow that. All right. But right now, let's talk about Prophet Yusuf. This is a revelation. Yusuf, the prophet Yusuf or Joseph, is also a revelation that came from the Quran. I mean, the creator of the heavens and the earth is the one that revealed the Quran to Prophet Muhammad. Okay, so this information that you will hear uh, about Prophet Muhammad, I'm sorry, about Yusuf, is a revelation. And the revelation came as a story. And the way that the story went at the very beginning, it says, we're going to tell you some things that you and others didn't know about, but I'm going to tell you exactly how the story went about Yusuf. So that's the way that the story comes down to Prophet Muhammad. Comes down like that. So it talks about how this young man named Yusuf or Joseph, he had a revelation, and his father was a prophet also. His father's name was Jacob. Jacob is also known in Hebrew scripture and Christian scriptures, because Jacob was the father of the um, uh, the Jewish people. Okay, so here it is. A son is born to him, named Yusuf. And if you want to know, I'm just giving you this light idea about the background. The son was born to him, and his name was Yusuf, and he had a dream, and he went to his father. He was just a young guy, young kid, may have been about under 10 years old. He goes to his father and says, "Father, I had a dream. I had a dream." And the father says, "Yo, don't tell the dream to your brothers," because he had like 10 older brothers. And so Joseph said, "Okay." But it came to a point where the brothers was kind of jealous of him. And because, this young boy, 10 years old, he had um the father liked him so much that, he treated the father, Jacob, treated Joseph and his brother, Benjamin, better than he treated the other 10 siblings who were much older than him. And so they didn't like that. So I was like, yo, man, we got to get rid of him. And we have to get rid of him because it looks like, the father is, dad is going to give the blessing to this young man instead of giving the blessing to us. And when I say it like that, it's because um, they had this dislike for a number of reasons. It's not only that the father liked him more, but it's also that this boy Yusuf or Joseph and his brother Benjamin was born from a different mother. These 10 brothers they were born to the same mother. So they it was like they had a unity amongst themselves. Uh and then this other young child comes along, and his brother comes along born from another mother, their aunt actually, born from um their aunt. Her name was Rachel, and it's like, yo, man, look, this young boy is going to steal our blessing, and then we want the blessing. So what they did is they plotted. They were going to kill Joseph, but instead of killing him, what they decided to do, they decided to put him in a well. Y'all probably have heard the story to that degree. So he gets put in the well. Now, just imagine this young boy. As a matter of fact, when they put him in the well, he was 18 years old when he put him in the well. He was a teenager, you know. And so they put him in a well, and Joseph was like, "Yo, why my brother? Why y'all putting me in the well like this?" But because he had faith, and because the Creator of the heavens and the earth favored him, you know, the creator calmed his heart and told, kind of sent him a spiritual message and a spiritual assurity. Yo, don't worry, everything's gonna be all right when they put you in the well. So don't panic. Just chill. We're gonna work it out. I'm gonna work it out for you. And they wound up working it out because some travelers come along and they got him out the well. They took him to Egypt, and next thing you know, he's working for the Aziz. He's working for someone who is close to the king of Egypt as a servant. And so he's working there. He's appreciative of this blessing, this favor that he's been given. And so, he's like, I'm gonna do the best I can, as a servant to the Aziz, you know, and the Aziz trust him so much that he said, look, you're gonna run my house for me. So while the Aziz is off to work, doing his thing, Aziz is, Joseph is running the house, making sure that the garbage is taken out, making sure the plants are done, making sure that there's water, making sure that his wife, Zuleika, has everything that she wants. And so he kind of gets a little close to the Aziz's wife, or the Aziz's wife get close to him. And it's because, like, to some degree, he's I mean, that's part of his job, really. I mean, to, make her happy. But she grows an affinity for him where she wants to cross the line. And what she wants to cross the line, and she actually wants to have a relationship with him to that degree. And so that's where we'll start, okay? About Joseph's feelings for Zuleika. Okay. Um, and what we'll do is we'll let me see, we'll start it. And she and who here, Zuleika's feelings for Joseph. The wife of the chief minister, Zuleika, all right, watched Joseph from day to day. She ate with him, talked with him, listened to him, and her wonder increased over the passing of time. Joseph was soon confronted with his second trial. So the first trial is getting out of the well. That was the first trial, getting out of the well, and then boom, man. The favor was that I mean, he's in the well and all that. I'm not going to go through that. But that was the first trial. So he gets favored and gets to Egypt. So now it's the second trial. Joseph was soon confronted with his second trial. The chief minister's wife, Zuleika, could not resist the handsome Joseph, and her obsession with him caused her sleepless nights. She fell in love with him, and it was painful for her to be so close to a man, yet be unable to hold him. Yet she was not a wayward woman, for in her position, she could get any man she desired. But by all accounts, she must have been a very pretty and intelligent lady, or why would the chief minister have chosen her of all the pretty women in the kingdom? Although she bore him no child, he would not take another wife as he loved her passionately. The Quran raises the curtain on the scene of the fierce and devouring love of the part of the lady. Almighty Allah told us, Bismillah Rahim. This is from Al Quran. And she, in whose house he was, sought to seduce him. She closed the door and said, come on, O you. He said, I seek refuge in Allah, or Allah forbid. Truly, he, is my master, meaning her husband. He made my stay agreeable, so I would never betray him. Verily, verily, the wrongdoers will never be successful. Indeed, did desire him, and he would have inclined to her desire had he not seen the evidence from his Lord. Okay. Thus it was that we might turn away from evil and illegal sexual intercourse. Now, I don't know. I've been in situations like this here, where uh, you might feel for, the opposite sex, or opposite sex may have feelings for you to some degree, and it's always a test and a trial. It's always a test and a trial whenever a man is in that situation, but it's also a test and a trial when a woman is in that situation too. So this was a test that they were in. Um, and you see what he did. He was like, I seek refuge in Allah. He said, A'udhu billah. That's what the story says that he did. I seek refuge in Allah. Because it's like you want to keep your honor. You want to keep your honor. You don't want to in this case, it would have been he would have she would have been committing adultery because she's married. So she would have been committing adultery. But he would have betrayed the trust of the person who was his employer. Not, that's the easiest way to say it, because the Aziz employed him to do work and to make sure that everything was taken care of around the Aziz's house. And so, even though he Joseph was supposed to take care of the Aziz's wife by getting her water or running errands for her, or if she asked for the hedges to be trimmed or wash the dishes or clean the car, to clean the camel, whatever, he was supposed to do it. But when it came to that, his idea was like, yo, that's crossing the line. I'm not going to do that. That's not the right thing to do. So he didn't do it. So that was a test for him. That was a test for him, and that was a test for her. Both of those was a test. And because it was a test to that degree, you know, um, uh, he when the test came on him, what he did, he said, I would do lie, you know, I seek refuge with God. That's what he did, you know. And so it's obvious she wasn't she might have been a privileged woman, and she might have been, like a woman of high character, but she was in love. She was impassioned with him, and she didn't say I would be like. She didn't say I seek refuge in Allah. She was like, "Yo, come here," you know. I mean, I mean, Shaitan is like this. Yo, man, that's your servant. That's your servant. He does whatever it is you tell him to do. You go ahead and tell him to do that. You do it. He's supposed to do it. He serves you. And so, he said, Joseph's like, yo, I can't do it. So, but this was a test. This was a test for her, but it's a test for Joseph also. And it's because Joseph said, I seek refuge in with Allah, to help me with this, that it didn't happen. So now Joseph's feelings for Zuleika. So we talked about Zuleika's feelings. So now Joseph's feelings, Ibn Kathir writes, commentators are unanimous about her intentions of disobedience, but disagree about his own intentions, Joseph's intentions. There are those who say that she tempted him and he tempted her to sin, although he did not follow through with his intent. So you never, nobody knows the intention of a person until the act is carried out. You might desire a piece of you with your diabetic self may desire a piece of strawberry shortcake. You see it sitting there and it looks delicious. If you eat it, then the intent becomes clear. But if you just have a desire for it and you don't eat it, you save your diabetic self. That's an example. I'm just using that as an example. So, by them saying that, there are those who say that she tempted him and he tempted her, although he did not follow through with his intent. But nobody knows your intention. Nobody knows. They know your action. And then when they see the action, then they know your intent. So she followed through with her intent, but he didn't follow through. Others say that she merely wanted him to kiss her, and he attempted to strike her. Yet others say that this anxiety has been before this, said that this anxiety had been there before this incident. There was a psychological disturbance in Joseph, when he reached adolescence, meaning, he's a young man, and, like this psychological disturbance in him is in all young men. The young man has a desire, but we see that even though he may have had the desire, he didn't follow through. The safest commentary for us says that there is temptation and resistance in the verse, for the Most High stated. And indeed, she did desire him. This is from the Quran. And indeed, she did desire him, and he would have inclined to her desire. That's Surah 12, verse 24. Thus it was that we might turn away from him evil and illegal sexual intercourse. Surely he was one of our chosen, guided slaves. So that's Surah 12, Joseph, verse 24. So again, remember that this is a revelation. This is a story that's being given to Prophet Muhammad from Allah. Okay. And this is how it's coming down to him. This verse proves that Joseph was an upright worshiper of Allah. It also testifies to his rescue from the authority of Satan. The Almighty said to the Shaitan on the day of creation, certainly you have no authority over my slaves except those who follow you. And that's Surah 15, verse 42. But that's just a confirmation of that situation where the Quran talks about because Shaitan will get you. If he would have followed through, then Satan got him. Satan got him. If he would follow through, Satan got him. But he didn't follow through. So it is said that, that Allah bestowed his mercy on him, especially because he could, I would be like, I seek refuge in God. So Joseph's refusal only heightened her passion. As he moved to the door to escape, she ran after him and caught hold of his shirt like a drowning person clinging to the boat. In her tugging, she tore his shirt and held the torn piece in her hand, then reached the door. They reached the door together. It opened suddenly. There stood her husband and a relative of hers. Almighty Allah said, so this now is the revelation from the Quran. So they raced with one another to the door, and she tore his shirt from the back. They both found her Lord or her husband at the door. Surah 12, verse 25. So Surah 12, verse 24 talked about how um and indeed she did desire him, and he would have inclined toward her desire. Thus it was that we might turn away from him evil and illegal sexual intercourse. Surely he was one of our chosen guided servants. And then Surah 25 says, so they raced with one another to the door, and she tore his shirt from the back. They both found her Lord, her husband, at the door. What a circumstance and situation. What a circumstance and situation. That if he had made another decision and opened the door, he might have been caught in an act of betraying, in betraying his master or his employer. But instead, when the door opened suddenly, there was a circumstance and situation that she's in and that he's in. Zuleika's in a situation where it's like, uh-oh, my passion, I'm chasing him. And when, I'm chasing him, and now when the door opens, her husband is standing there, and it's like, whoa. And then and so the same thing with Joseph. The door opens and Joseph is in shock too. It's like, whoa. As the door opened, he saw her husband standing in front of him. The sly woman immediately changed her tone to anger. So she went from passion to a tone of anger. Flip the script real quick, showing the torn piece of the shirt in her hand, and asked her husband, what is the recompense for him who intended an evil design against your wife, except that he should put in prison or a painful torment? Boom, you see that flip real quick. All right. From passion to anger. And she came with the game real quick. So she goes from, I want you come here, and all of a sudden, she goes to, what is the recompense? This is from the Quran. I'm not saying this here. This is words that said, what is the recompense for him who intended an evil design against your wife, except that he should be put in prison or a painful torment? So she's trying to save herself. And she's trying to accuse her. She's trying to cover. She's trying to cover herself. She was now accusing Joseph of molesting her to give the impression that she was innocent and a victim of Joseph's sexual desire. Though bewildered, Joseph denied it. You see the bewilderment? And he said, it was she who sought to seduce me. It's like he's in a circumstance right there in front of the Aziz. She flips the script from passion to anger and says, what is the recompense for him? What's the punishment for him? He sought to seduce me. What are you going to do about it? And he said, he's like, I didn't try to seduce her. She tried to seduce me. The shirt was passed from the hand to hand while she watched. The witness, her cousin, looked at it and found that it was torn at the back. Some say, so this one says it was her cousin, and some say, some revelation say it was a maid servant. It was a maid servant that was coming through the door with the Aziz. So again, it says the shirt was passed from hand to hand while she watched. So she's going to see, like, yo, is he going to believe me? So the witness, her cousin, looked at it and found it was torn at the back. The evidence showed that she was guilty. The disappointed husband remarked to his wife, "Surely it is a plot of you women. Certainly mighty is your plot." And this is from the Quran. That's from the Quran. Surely it is a plot of you women. Only mighty is your plot. Surah 12, verse 28. So the evidence was against Zuleika. The wise and just Aziz apologized to Joseph for his wife's indecency. He also instructed her for accusing him falsely. Allah the Almighty narrated this instance thus. He said, and this is verse Surah 12, Joseph, that's the name of the Surah 12, verse 12, chapter 12. And this is verses 26 through 29 that I'm reading right now. It was she that sought to seduce me, and a witness saying, if it be that the shirt is torn from the front, then her tale is true, and he is a liar. But if it be that this shirt is torn from the back, then she has told a lie, and he is speaking the truth. So when he, the husband, saw his shirt was torn at the back, her husband said, surely it is a plot of you women. Certainly mighty is your plot. O Joseph, turn away from this. O woman, ask forgiveness for your sin. Verily, you were of the sinful. And again, that's Surah 12, verse Yusuf, chapter Yusuf, verse 26 to 29. So Zuleika, the wife, is ridiculed by the people. An incident like this cannot remain a secret in the house filled with servants. And the story spread. Women began to see her behavior as scandalous. They remarked from the Quran, Surah 12, verse 30. The wife of the Aziz is seeking to seduce her slave young man. Indeed, she loves him violently. Really, we see her in plain error. So now the word gets out, man. The word gets out, man, that, like, they're saying it in a nice way. The wife of the Aziz is seeking to seduce her husband. And indeed, she loves him violently. So, they gossiping. And the gossip got around town. That's what the situation was. I lost my book. Okay, yeah. Zuleika's plan to regain her reputation. So her reputation is a little damaged among the women of the city. Nobody else is paying attention to it, but her reputation among the women. Remember, she's the wife of the Aziz. She could get any man really that she wanted, but she got caught in the trap, designed by Shaitan. She was working socially closely with her servant. And, it's like this this servant was special. Joseph was special because he was rescued and put into a favorable position by the Aziz. And because of that, he was like, yo, I'm not going to be disrespectful to your husband. And I'm going to reject. I'll do anything else for you. I'll go get you some coffee. I'll go get you some groceries. I'll go ahead and mow the lawn. I'll wash your camel. I'll make up your bed. But then asking me to go that far with you I can't cross that line. That's the line. And so she was like, yo, the heck with that line. I want you. You know, so she wound up getting caught. And when she got caught, it became a big deal. And when it came a big deal like that, then the women of the city started talking about it to that degree. So naturally, their gossip distressed Suleika. She honestly believed that it was not so easy for any women to resist a man as handsome as Joseph. To prove her helplessness, she planned to subject the women to the same temptation she faced. She invited them to a lavish banquet. No one so invited would want to miss the honor of dining with the chief minister's wife. Besides, they secretly harbored the desire to meet the handsome young Joseph face to face. Some of her close friends jokingly said they would come only if she introduced them to Joseph. It's like, yo, you know what I'm talking about here? It's like, well, the only reason why I come, you got to, hey, you can't have him, but I can have him. It's that kind of situation. It's like, yo, you got to introduce me. Yeah, he would have been wrong if he would have had a relationship with you. Well, maybe he'll have a relationship with me because, like, I'm not the Aziz's wife. So they joked her. So some of her close friends jokingly said they would come only if she introduced them to Joseph. The invitation was restricted to ladies only, no men. The banquet began. Laughter and mirth abounded. Etiquette dictated that the women not mention the topic of Joseph. They were shocked, therefore, when Zuleika opened the topic. I have heard of those who say I have fallen in love with the young Hebrew man, Joseph. Wow. Now, this is not the Quran saying this. This is uh, Ibn Kathir making that. I have heard that she has fallen in love with the young Hebrew man. Okay, because all through this, it hasn't been, that idea, that sign has not been said, but here it is. I have heard of those who say that I have fallen young with the young Hebrew man, Joseph. Silence fell upon the banquet. At once, all the guests' hands stopped and all eyes fell on the chief minister's wife. She said, while giving orders for the fruit to be served, I admit that he is a charming fellow. I did not deny that I do not deny that I love him. I have loved him for a long time. This is what she's telling her friends. The confession of the chief minister's wife removed the tension among the ladies. After finishing their dinner, the guests began cutting their fruit. At that very moment, she summoned Joseph to make his appearance. He entered the hall gracefully, his gaze lowered. Zuleika called him by his name, and he raised his head. The guests were astonished and dumbfounded. His face was shining and full of mad angelic beauty. It reflected complete innocence, so much so that one could feel the peace of mind in the depths of his soul. They exclaimed in astonishment while continuing to cut the fruit. All their eyes were on Joseph. So it was that the women began to cut their palms absent-mindedly without feeling that they had cut themselves. The presence of Joseph at the scene of drama was so effective that uh, this writing, without their feelings, okay, was so effective. One of the ladies in the room gasped, "Good gracious!" Another whispered, "This is not a mortal being." Another stammered, patting her hand, "This is but a noble angel." Then the chief minister's wife stood up and announced, "This is the one for whom I have been blamed. I do not deny that I tempted him. You have been enchanted by Joseph and see what has happened to your hands. I have tempted him, and if he does not do what I want of him, he shall be imprisoned." So the Quran says, so when she heard of their accusations, she sent for them. One moment, please. Okay, so um, okay, so we're going to end it right here. We're going to end it right here. Suspense. Ah. Again, I tell you that this is a revelation from the Quran. That's what this is. Um, and there are many lessons in it. It has many lessons that the Creator has sent down to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has sent down this revelation talking about the relationships between a man and a woman, but more so talking about a blessed man, one who has a blessing, and how he had to recognize that he was that to himself the favor that was upon him, and that he had to carry himself in this manner, even though he was a servant in the house of the Aziz, even though he was an employer in a very prestigious house, even though he was given a good position, the way that he had to carry himself, the way that he had to carry himself, in a situation like that. There are many lessons in it, not only for men, but for women also, because for our women, it's the same thing. The way that you carry yourself. Because it didn't have to, if we were supposed to turn the situation around where the woman is working in the house, and that in real life that these are situations that happen where women are working in the house and are approached by the man in the house. So it's a situation that can be read from both sides. And if you have the blessing of being a Muslim, if you have the blessings of being one who is God conscious, you don't necessarily have to be a Muslim, God conscious. Because when we say Muslim, we talk about one who submits their will to do the will of God. Here was a person, Joseph. He was a Hebrew, as it said, Hebrew. But the thing is that he was a Muslim because he was one who submitted his will to do the will of God. So next week we'll get into it again. But I'd like to call up our sister Martha Nala Abdullah to tell you about what's going on again today on American Muslim 360 and a New Day Community Radio. I have an emergency. Sister Martha, Assalamu alaikum. Are you there?
Yes, I am here, and I am. I should be heard. Yes, today, later, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's all about courtship and marriage with Munira Habil Umar and Bina Mohammed Beyah. That's 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 to 8 p.m. Central, and 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Coast Time. But in between, please join us for the Voices of Women in Al Islam, reading from Quran, Surah 3, Ayat 161 to 170 today. And that will be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The number is 971 379 9162. Again, 971-379-9162. And that's with Rashida Robinson, Amira Muhammad Shahid, Quran Muhammad, and sometimes I don't know if Depretha Abdul Hadi, and yours truly, Martha Nyla Williams Abdullah. And we have the Voices of Women, and that's for the reading and discussions. And then it is shared by all who are online who want to share in the conversation. And we ask that you join us. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, we have a hand raised. Sharif. Assalamu alaikum.
Is Brother William still there?
Yes, he is. He's on mute.
Well, tell
He's
him to
probably getting
unmute.
that much needed coffee. I'm just teasing. Go ahead, Muhammad.
Well, my suggestion is that a lot of people be listening. There should be a time where people can make comments on everything. He take a whole program. You give everybody else an opportunity to say anything. We
Oh,
speak about
please,
that.
by all means. Yes, sir. By all means, please do. He usually does ask if there are any comments. So please share. We apologize.
Well, he's not there, so I'll hold up till the
And I
next
just say he's
time.
on mute. But, please
No,
share.
yeah, I'll hold up until the next time when he's sure he's unmuted or something. He can
Okay.
respond. I'll
All
hold up till the
right.
next time.
All right. Thank you, Mohammed.
Right.
Always right on time. Praise be to Allah.
Mhm.
Anyone else with any question or comments you'd like to share? Okay. Thank you all for everyone for being here with us on the number one Islamic Broadcasting Network in this nation, America Muslim 360. Let's see. Oh, that's Mohammed. Your hand is still raised. Okay. Thank you kindly, everyone. Please go to cwsc.us for more information or dial 910-317-0297. For we're here every day of the week. Praise be to Allah first and utmost. Assalamu alaikum. Do have a wonderful day.